guys, welcome everyone to our next session of solid state. In this session, I will be explaining you about electrical properties of different solid states. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, in this part, we see electrical properties. So basically, the electrical properties are extending in a range of 27 powers or 27 orders of magnitude. That is, they range from 10 raised to minus 20 order to 10 raised to 7 order. Ohm inverse, meter inverse. This is the unit of the conductivity. Okay, so here we are looking at the electrical conductivity. So basically we divide solids into different categories. First category is conductors, second is semiconductors, and the third is insulator. So conductors are actually having a very high amount of conductivity values. You can see that 10 raised to 4 to 10 raised to 7. So they are having good conductivity. Semiconductors are the devices, or let's say are the solids which are having intermediate range of conductivities, and insulators are having low range of conductivity. So very low range of conductivity. Next here is an energy diagram. So on the y-axis, if you put your energy, and here this is your metal, this is the diagram for your insulator, and here is your semiconductor. So basically, if you see here that here this is the lower part, or let's say here there is an overlapping between two bands. The lower band here is known as your valence band, whereas the top part is your conduction band. So if an electron is present in conduction band, only then it is able to conduct. In case of metals, what happens is the conduction band is partially filled with electrons. Okay, so it is actually partially filled, or sometimes there is an overlapping of bands. If you see, this here is your lower band, that is your valence band, and the red marked here is your conduction band. So if you see, there is an overlapping between the two. So an electron does not require that much amount of energy in order to go from your lower valence band to conduction band. Whereas in case of insulator, if you see, there is a large energy gap. Okay, so this is your filled band, that is valence band. So from here to there, electron needs a lot of amount of energy to go. That's why insulators are having very low amount of conductivity. So this is your lower valence band, whereas this one is your conduction band. Now, in case of semiconductors, the energy gap is very, very small. So if you see, this gap here is very, very small. Okay. So if you provide some energy, what happens? Some of the electrons might jump from here to this empty conduction band, and semiconductors are able to conduct some electricity. Also note that here the large energy gap, or let's say the forbidden zone, is the area where there are no electrons formed. Okay, like there are no electrons found. Okay, so in order to conduct electricity, the electron has to be in conduction band, that is this red mark here. Okay, going ahead. So this is here everything which I explained about conductors. Okay, so basically conductors conduct electricity through movement of electrons or ions. Electrons is the case of metallic conductor, whereas they conduct electricity in the form of ions, in the form of electrolytes. For example, NaCl, if you mix in water, that makes your electrolyte. So it dissociates into Na plus and Cl minus. So that's a electrolyte. So these ions which are formed, that is Na plus and Cl minus, they will be the one which are conducting electricity. Okay. So if you want, you can pause the video and read this. So here is all about what I have explained already. Okay. In the same way, insulators is written here. If the energy gap between the filled valence band and the next higher unoccupied band, that is your conduction band, is large, electrons cannot jump. Okay, so that's why they have very small conductivity, and these objects are insulators. Okay, now the third category, or the intermediate between the conductor and insulator, is the case of your semiconductor. Now, semiconductor are actually having a small energy gap. So gap between the valence band and conduction band is quite small. Okay. So therefore, there is some chance that electrons may jump to the conduction band and show some conductivity. Okay. So electrical conductivity of the semiconductor is increasing with rise in temperature. What is happening when you increase the temperature is that electrons, they get excited and they jump from lower valence band to higher conduction band, and hence they are able to conduct electricity. Now, if the semiconductor is pure, we call it intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, intrinsic semiconductor means the conductor is pure. Example is that of silicon and germanium. So silicon and germanium are part of group 14. So it's very important. You can see your periodic table. So group 14 is consisting silicon and germanium. So that group is your semiconductors group. So sometimes what we do, okay, we add some dopant into it. Now dopant is an impurity. Okay, so in order to increase the conductivity of the intrinsic semiconductor, we add an impurity, a suitable impurity. Okay. Now this process of adding an impurity is called as doping. The substance that you add or the impurity that you add is known as dopant. Okay. Now, doping is of two types. One is that you add an impurity which is electron rich. That means there are more number of electrons present. Okay. For example, group 15 elements you can add, or electron deficient. That is your group 13 elements you can add as a dopant. Okay. So you can add this to your intrinsic semiconductor, that is germanium or silicon. Okay. So such impurities are electron deficient, okay, or electronic defects in them. They introduce electronic defects inside them. So one is electron rich, the other is electron deficient or deficiency. Now first case is of electron rich impurity. Electron rich impurity, let me just share the diagram directly with you all. Okay, so here it is, the diagram. So if you see, this here is your pure silicon atom structure. Okay, this is a perfect crystal. So you see all the atoms here are silicon atoms. Now if you add a group 15 element, that is As here, okay, arsenic, so it has 5 electrons in the outermost shell. So 4 are used for bonding and 1 electron is free. Now that electron is free to move. Okay, that's why we call it as a mobile electron. So this fifth electron is free to move. So whenever you apply an electric field, it starts to move, and that's how the semiconductor is able to conduct electricity. Okay. Same way, in case of p-type semiconductor, we add a electron deficient, or let's say group 13 element. Okay, so here there is a presence of hole, that is like a no electron is present. Okay, so basically whenever you provide electricity or electric field around it, so what happens, this electron might jump here, the next electron will jump here. So basically you see the hole starts to move in one direction. So this type of movement or the whole movement is your p type of semiconductor. Okay, so again going back, so if you put group 15 element, that can be phosphorus or arsenic, okay, which has 5 valence, so 4 of them are used for the covalent bonds with the neighboring silicon atom, and the fifth is the extra electron, which can be delocalized. Delocalized means it can be moved from that. So basically this extra electron increases the conductivity. Okay, and here the increase in conductivity is due to electrons, that is negatively charged electron. That's why we also call this electron rich impurity as n type of semiconductor. Same goes for p types of semiconductor. Basically there is a presence of a hole. Okay, so what happens is the electron is actually jumping inside the hole and another hole is created. Like for example here, let's say that this electron jumps here. Okay, so if this electron jumps here, I see that here a new hole is created, so the next electron can jump in this hole. So overall the hole is moved from here towards this direction. Okay, so this is about your p type of semiconductor, and since here the majority carriers are your holes, or let's say it is equivalent to kind of positive charge, that's why the name is p type. Okay, so apart from this, we see the applications of n type and p type of semiconductor. So where we use these applications, or where we use such semiconductors, one of the is use of diode. So we use PN junction, okay, that is N type and P type combined together, that is used as a rectifier. So this you will see in physics. There is a half wave rectifier and as well as full wave rectifier. So rectifier is a device which actually convert your AC into DC. Okay. Then there is transistor, so we use them in transistors also. There are two types of transistor, NPN and PNP. Okay, so they are actually to detect or amplify the radio and or audio signals. So this is your transistor. Then solar cells are also used. Okay, that is photodiode. So that is conversion of light energy into electrical energy. Remember guys, there is an entire chapter based on your semiconductors in physics. So there you can study this all this in detail. So there is diode also. You can see PN junction. You can see rectifier. You can go through transistor. The two types of transistor clearly mentioned there. Photodiode is also given. A very small description of photodiode is given there. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed this session. Okay, it was nice. Okay, thanks a lot. See you for the next session. Bye bye.